Welcome back to another pre-recorded edition of JMC Live. We have Jeremy Reynolds on the phone in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Joy Junction. It's been great having you on the show so far, Jeremy. Do you want to continue with sharing more of your journey and your life and how you got to the point of Joy Junction? Because I can tell we're still almost there, but not quite yet.
Absolutely, and even as we speak now, I'm just doing a live Facebook update, so also all of our friends can tune into the show also.
Outstanding.
On the air live now. Check us out, right?
Yes, sir.
And very cool. And yeah, and so when I began Joy Junction, it was sort of, we had no nothing. I mean, we were still waiting to get our 501c3, and I just had a desire, Jeremy, to help the homeless get back on their feet again, and just to share His love. And of course, and along the way, also, God's gracious enough to me to allow me to get my undergrad degree, my undergrad degree in journalism, my master's degree in communication at UNM, the State University. Then I had a really interesting experience, Jeremy, because I got my PhD in intercultural education at Biola University. And so for 3 years, I flew out to Biola, to Los Angeles, every week for classes, and did my PhD. Then I did my PhD dissertation on how the media cover the homeless, which is very interesting also. I was able to interview media people. But you have to admit, Jeremy, that most people are not going to go down to your local rescue mission, the Salvation Army, or Joy Junction. They're going to take their perceptions of the homeless and what the media share about the homeless. So we're very active here with the media in Albuquerque. But one thing we've done also, Jeremy, very unique, a few months ago, and the story of Joy Junction along the last 20 years, we've grown, we have many ups, we have many downs. My book, Homeless in the City, A Call to Service, it chronicles some of those ups and downs. But one thing that God put on our heart also was to reach out beyond the walls of Joy Junction, and was to start feeding all around town. We had the desire for a food wagon. And so we put the need out, and in a newsletter we issued to our supporters. And last year, Jeremy, so exciting, one of our very generous supporters, a gentleman called Vic Jury from Summit Electric here in Albuquerque, he emails me and he goes, "Hey, Jeremy, check out this link on eBay." But check out the link, and guess what? It was to, Jeremy, it wouldn't sound so funny saying, "Hey, Jeremy," because like I'm speaking to myself, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And it was to a food wagon, which was at a dealership in West Palm Beach. Beautiful truck with a mobile kitchen on the back. So the gentleman asked me, he says, "Hey, would you like it?" I'm like, "Will I like it?" Yeah, right, would I like it? And so the gentleman says, "Well, if you want it, it's yours, so you can start feeding people outside Joy Junction." So he flew me out to West Palm Beach, went out there with a colleague from our offices, and went out there a few months ago. We flew out to West Palm Beach early one Tuesday morning. We picked up the wagon. We drove it back between us. We were back in Tallahassee that night, Dallas the next night, and Albuquerque the next night. We got licensed to serve hot food. We have a fully licensed kitchen at Joy Junction, Jeremy, so we cook hot chili and soup. And like today, we're out on the food wagon all around town. I just got back to my home office, Jeremy, from sharing with my colleague about 300 meals, praying with people. We turn every place we go where God opens up the doors and where there's an express need into a place of prayer. That could be at Denny's, it could be out on the streets, it could be on the West Mesa, it could be in a parking lot. Wherever we feed, we're willing to pray with people. It's so cool. And so now, in addition to the 10,000 meals we're sharing at Joy Junction, we're feeding all 1,500 to 2,000 meals a month extra. And what we're also doing is, we're honestly, Jeremy, we're sharing God's love with those people, many of whom have to make a choice sometimes in between paying their rent and having a bite to eat, and that's scary.
Yeah, and I know where you're coming from with having to make the choice between, can you pay your rent, and to get to that point, a lot of people don't realize, some renters will let you skip a month, or your electric bill or cable bill, you don't pay the full price. We're talking about honestly getting to the point where you don't have any money left, and you've paid, the propane, and you've paid your car note, but you don't have any money left for rent. You don't have $475. You don't have, money for gas. And what do you do next? Do you decide on food? Do you decide on rent? Because you only have $200 left, if that.
It's so incredibly scary, Jeremy. One thing I found that many Christians seem to be incredibly short-sighted on this. We all know the past cliche Bible verses sometimes. Mm-hmm. If a man shall not work, he shall not eat. But sometimes we forget. And I had a individual I spoke to a few months ago that said, well, if it was me, I'm like thinking, honey, it isn't you. It isn't you who's out on the street. And so, with that in mind, the Lord, through a former colleague, gave me the idea to start writing some books, and they're available. You can get the information on our website at joyjunction.org. Mm-hmm. And basically, Jeremy, these are stories, because if you think of the number of sermons that you read, mm-hmm. we all tend to remember. We all tend to remember stories before. We can forget the 3 homiletical points the minister makes, but we remember the stories. So what I found that most people are very short-sighted. They go, well, Jeremy Caverley is homeless. Mm-hmm. He's lazy. He won't work. He's just a bum. So, okay, all right, he's lazy. But the issue isn't. I see you laughing there. The issue isn't why. The issue isn't you're lazy. That's the outer manifestation of an inward problem. The issue to me is, why are you lazy? What trauma, what experience have you experienced in God's in your life? Maybe a rape, maybe an abuse, maybe just being abandoned. Maybe you're bipolar, maybe you're schizophrenic. Mm-hmm. And too many Christians, Jeremy, are too lazy to take the time to really form a relationship with the homeless. They just they just don't take the time to read the story. So we're trying to gently educate people to say, read Jeremy's story, read Jonathan's story, read Jimmy's story, read Brenda's story, and weep. Because not only do you have a societal responsibility to help the least among you, if you name the name of Jesus, you have a biblical responsibility to do it also. And we as Christians, Jeremy, so often, it seems like we're known as like the thou shalt not people. You know what? We're anti-abortion. We're anti-gay rights. We're anti-this. We're anti-that. We have a whole lot of joy in our life. And so I think it would be so nice, wouldn't it, if instead of not being known as the no people, I want to spread the gospel that is spread by fascination, not by force. It's like, what, Jerry? You need to accept Jesus, like you're going to go to hell. Hallelujah. Glory to God, Jeremy's going to go to hell. Hallelujah.
Oh, yeah, I know those people.
You've heard the messages, haven't you?
And before we take a break, I want to share with you, paraphrase what Mother Teresa says, but she says that if someone is hungry and in needing clothing and a place to stay, it is us that are looking at them. It is our fault, not theirs. We will return with more with Jeremy.